Good morning, students. Welcome to your information technology and its application in business class. In today's class, we are going to start with Unit 1, that is Information Technology and Business. This is the name of the chapter. Now, the lesson plan or the areas that we are going to study in this chapter includes the concept of data, the concept of information. Then we are going to learn about CBIS, Computer Based Information System. Apart from this, the impact of IT, that is information technology, on business. That is how information technology impacts business organization that we are going to learn. And lastly, we are going to learn about the types of information systems that are prevailing and how those types of information systems are being implemented by any business organization at their different managerial levels. So these are the 5 broad areas that we are going to cover up in chapter 1. So let us begin with the first area, that is the concept of data. Now this word data, it has come or it has its origin from the Latin word datum, which means to give. So what to give? In relation with data, what to give? That is, data is something which is given or something which is used as a basis for reasoning or drawing an inference or arriving at a conclusion. Or data is something which is given or something which is used as a basis for a calculation or a measurement. So if we formalize this concept of data, what it is? It is the unorganized and unstructured raw facts and figures. What is it? It is the unorganized, unstructured raw facts and figures which are collected either from internal or external environment by any organization that will serve its various purposes. So, students are required to focus on the words unorganized, unstructured raw facts and figures when they are going to learn the concept of data. Now, if we move into the examples, what these data actually are, we will see data are of numerical, data may be of any statistical figure, data may be of any character. So it may be any name of any individual, name of a place, dates, or any sort of number that do not have any meaning of their own. So another area for data, since it is the raw facts and figures, data does not have any meaning of their own. And as it does not have any meaning, it cannot be used for making any decision. So the data will act as an input for any reference or analysis. I repeat, data will act as an input for any reference or analysis. So if we combine the different aspects of data, the features that data provides us are, it is the raw facts and figures, then as it is unstructured, unorganized, so we can say it that it is not defined. Since it is the raw facts and figures, it is simple in nature. And as the data does not have any meaning, so it is meaningless, and when it will get its meaning? Only on being processed. And lastly, it is always an input for any reference. So what are the features? It is the raw facts and figures. It is not defined. It is simple in nature. It does not have a meaning unless it is processed, and it is always an input to any system. So these are the areas that you should know regarding the data. These are the basic things that are to be studied regarding data. Next, we are moving to the next concept, that is information. Now this word information also has its origin from the Latin word informere, which means give form to. So information is the data which is processed in such a way so that it has a definite meaning to the end user. So what is information? We can say it is the well-defined, meaningful, structured and processed data. So what is this information? When we are processing the data, using the data as input for any system, the output that we will receive will be termed as the information, which will be much more defined, much more meaningful and much more structured, so that it can be used for various business activities. So that's why it is saying information is the well-defined, meaningful, structured and processed data that can be used for various business activities. Now if we take the example of information, information, as we have said, it is the processed data. It comes from the output after being processed from the raw data. It may be in the form of forms, it may be in the form of reports, that is the end results of any operation. To be much more specific, we take another example, like if data like names, date of joining any organization, salary information of the employees, these are, when arranged properly, can become information and may be used by the management for various activities such as calculation of salary, yearly increment and many other areas as per the requirement of the organization. So in brief, what is information? When we process the raw facts and figures, the unstructured, undefined raw facts and figures, that is the data, what we get? We get information. Now this particular information can be further processed to get more and more meaningful information. So another important area for information is information can be processed further to get more and more meaningful information. So if we combine all these areas of information, the features that information provides us include, that is, it is the processed and structured data. It is well defined, it is always meaningful. Yes, it is processed, so it will become complex, so it is complex in nature, and it can always be processed further to make more meaningful information. Right? Now, from this discussion of data and information, it may seem to have the same meaning apparently in layman's word, but they are not the same, because we have learned what the data is: the unprocessed raw facts and figures. When we process that data, we will get the information. Now, when the data is processed to make meaningful for any purpose, it becomes information. Now, in the modern world, information is one of the important resource that the business entities must deal with for their successful functioning. Again, if the information is purposefully collected and applied properly for decision making, then that becomes what? That becomes knowledge. So, what we are trying to say that when we are processing the data, we are getting the information. When we are properly applying that information for various purposes, for decision making purposes, what we get? We get knowledge. Right? Next, the difference between data and information. As from our previous discussion, we have learned that data is the raw facts and figures. So, data, it's the raw facts. When we process it, what we get? We get information. So, information is the processed data. Now, data may or may not have any meaning, whereas once the data has been processed, it becomes information, which is always meaningful. Now, data will always act as an input to any system for get itself processed, whereas information may be an input or output of any system, as we have learned that information can be further processed to get more and more meaningful information. Now, if we take up an example, we can clearly understand the difference between this data and information in real life situation. So what it is saying, ABC and company appoints representatives who make survey among 10,000 people by giving them printed questionnaires to fill them up individually, to have an idea of the brands of perfumes they would like to use. And every customer individually fills the printed questionnaire and submits them to the representatives of the company. So here you have to differentiate between the data and information. Now from this example, we can say that each and every filled up questionnaires are the examples of data. I repeat, each and every filled up questionnaires by the customers are the examples of data. Here the number of data collected, it is 10,000. So the 10,000 data in the form of filled up questionnaires are then analyzed using various mathematical or statistical tools to have an idea of which brand of perfume is mostly preferred. The inference or the end result of the analysis produces a report for ABC and company. This inference or this report, thus obtained as an end result of the analysis, is what? It is nothing but the information that has been generated. So in brief, what is the data? The information collected from the questionnaires, those 10,000 information or the 10,000 questionnaires comprising of filled in data, and when that 10,000 data are being processed, we get the information. Right? Now, till now, we have learned regarding the data, the information, the differentiation between data and information. Now, is there the relation between this data and information? They're having the difference between them, but is they related or are they related? Yes, they are related. As we have said, the data is the processed data, is the unprocessed one, unstructured one. When we are processing, we are getting the information. There is the relation. So the raw data, the input, when we are putting it or we are processing it through any medium, we are getting the processed data, that is the information. Now here in this figure, it represents data to information processing operations. The raw data is given as an input. The raw data is processed either manually or mechanically or electronically or as a combination of them. The processed data or information is displayed through the output devices. Alternatively, the processed data or information may be stored in the storage device also. Now, the information which is stored in the storage devices may also be processed in future, either manually or mechanically or electronically or a combination of them, so that much and more meaningful information can be obtained. So, we can say that there exists a relationship between data and information. So, what we can conclude? That without data, one cannot obtain any information. Because in order to generate a meaningful processed data, you should have the raw facts and figures that should be with you to get or to obtain any information. Next thing, if the input data is wrong, even if the processing technique is correct, the output information will always be wrong and useless. So this area is very important. The data that has to be provided into the system for processing, that has to be accurate or correct. If you provide the system with wrong data, it will process that wrong data and it will provide you with wrong information in the form of output. This thing has to be kept in mind. And apart from this, any meaningful information that we have obtained from the data can always be processed further to generate more and more meaningful information. Right? These are the three areas that states that yes, data and information, they are related. You cannot obtain the information if you don't have the data. Right? So, in today's class, what we have learned? We have learned about the concept of data, the concept of information, the differentiation between data and information, and the relationship, the way the data and information, they are related to each other. The next areas we are going to continue in our next class. Thank you.